Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. This week, we are talking about timing because timing is everything. And it makes me think back to the first time God told me that I would stand on a stage and speak. And I was like, no, I won't. Not going to do that. Sometimes I think he just has to just give us a blip or a glimpse of where he's leading us, because what we have planned for ourselves may not be at all what God has planned for us. And he has to give us little blips or glimpses to kind of start getting us on board. And that was way back in like 2010 when he did that. And it wasn't until 2023 when I actually got certified as a speaker. So it took that long. I laugh now. Took that long to get me on board. Because I was very shy and quiet, and I don't know, I couldn't see that in myself. But it's also the flip side of sometimes he'll give you something and you want it so much and you're ready to just dive in and do it right now. And then you get way ahead of him and then you start questioning everything. Oh, maybe I didn't hear him right, or maybe I'm not supposed to do that, or, maybe that isn't my calling, maybe that's not my purpose. And we start coming up with all these things, which, when you think about the words and how they're said, really reminds me of someone. Are you sure that's what he said? Are you sure that's what will happen? Sounds a little familiar from the garden. So timing is everything. And if you really want to move faster, it's to get into alignment with God's timing. We can get in our own way. He may be calling us to do a thing and we are like, no. Because if he would have told me in 2010 and I was supposed to be on a stage in like 2012, I wouldn't have made it. I would have kept myself from doing it out of fear or unworthiness, or thinking that, somehow I'm not good enough to do something like that. So within his timing, there's times of waiting, there's times of preparation, there's season of rest or movement, or maybe you do need a training, or all these different things, but you won't know what those are, first of all, if you don't get into agreement with what God is wanting you to do. And secondly, getting ahead of him. We can waste a lot of time and energy and money trying to speed ahead of him, thinking, oh, he called me, I want to be a writer and I'm going to write all these books and I'm just going to do all these things. And then we sit down and can't write anything. We're not feeling it because it wasn't quite time yet. We haven't experienced the things we need to experience that need to go into that book, or that need to go into that talk, or that need to go into that new business venture, or that goes into that, even that new relationship. God's time is perfect. And if we rush ahead, it'll actually take longer to get where we're trying to go, because we're getting in our own way and we're not getting prepared, or we're not doing the rest, or we're not doing the renewal, or we're not getting the restoration, all of those things that we need.
Absolutely. The first thing that comes to my mind is like endurance and his timing. And like, I think about, I know you journal a lot, Laurie, and like you have journal entries from like 15 years, 20 years. And I think about my journal entries of just even the past 5 years. And I actually keep all my past tangible journals because from time to time, will go through and read them and see what my prayers were, see what my conversations with him were 5 years ago. And I know you do this too, Laurie. And it's so fascinating because even though we are in time, like God is timeless, and something that he spoke to us 5 years ago, 15 years ago, he knows that they're going to go back in and they're going to read that and it's going to speak to them today, in the future. Like he's already thinking about these things that happen. And I think that's what's so powerful about just walking with the Lord in general, is he's going to continue to bring things to your mind that he knows speaks to you, that he knows is intertwined with your purpose that he has for you, and that he's going to use time to prepare us, to mold us, to shape us, through experiences, through interactions with people, and it's like, we could think like, oh, if only I would have just got it 10 years ago. Like, why is it taking till just now for me to get it? And, as seamless and as nice and, less stressful that probably would have been, the Lord also knew that you needed to go through what you went through to be where you are now, to understand it, to have the capacity to understand and see like, whoa. And like I said, obviously we can save ourselves, especially once we come to the knowledge of things and the wisdom. Like this doesn't mean just be foolish and just, oh yeah, it'll come around again. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I think Lori, you described it as circling around the mountain. Once we come to the knowledge and the understanding of it, like, get it, like understand him, hear him, move in the direction he wants you to move, act on it. But, when we're in a place where we once were in just a foolish place and we didn't understand, and then these things came at us where we had to walk through it and there were consequences and hardships and going through these different things, we're like, why haven't I seen the promise yet? Why haven't I seen the promise yet? And then finally you hear him speak and it's like, this is why. This is why. This is why. And so that's why I just love walking with the Holy Spirit, because he will bring things to your remembrance. And even in some deep diving healing that I've been going through recently, just bringing things up from years ago that I'm like, this is the past. Like, why are we talking about this? Right. But little did I know that there was a root, deep down that I had to understand, that I had to heal with him in order to move forward in a certain area of my life, that when I looked at the service, it seemed irrelevant. Like, why is this subject being brought up? This seems irrelevant, God. But I had to just sit, and it probably was like 30 minutes of just asking him questions. And then he's bringing different memories to my mind, bringing certain conversations to my mind. And then it finally got down to the root. I'm like, oh, God, you are so cool. So, I just, again, love that he uses time to heal us. And like it probably would have been way easier if that thing from so many years ago could have been healed so many years ago. But it's almost like I had to go through all these different points in my life, all these growth spurts in my walk with him to see it. Because back then I wouldn't have ever seen it. I would have only seen the service and been like, yeah, this makes no sense. Like, okay, would have totally looked over it. But he will speak to us and prepare us and heal us and mold us, shape us, all these things based off of the level that we're at in our walk with him and the capacity that we have to receive it. And so this journey, like through the rest of our time here on earth until we are like perfectly made whole in heaven one day, that's what this sanctification process looks like. And he's going to use different things to just continue to refine us, renew us, restore us, and just draw us closer to him in all areas of our life in this like alignment with him. So yeah, that's just kind of the first thing. It's a marathon. It's endurance. Like that's just the thing that came to my mind whenever we started talking about just his timing.
Mhm. And it's so perfect because as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking, I could look at myself like, man, it took me so long to go through some of the things that I went through. But if it would have happened that way, I wouldn't be sitting here right now with Taylor. I would have been, I don't even know where I would be. I would have been like, I don't know. I can't even imagine. I just know it wouldn't be here. I just had like this knowing that I wouldn't know Taylor. We wouldn't be doing this right now.
Well, I think about 15 years ago, I was 10.
Yeah.
We definitely wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had a child to raise and a lot of healing, a lot of renewal that has taken place in those, you know, 15 years when Taylor was 10 and I was not. We'll just put it that way. I was not 10 then. My daughter probably was, but yeah, timing's everything. And even with he started telling me, I'm not even sure how many years before I actually started writing that he was telling me I was going to write. And I just couldn't see it. I wasn't in that right headspace. I had to have healing. I had to have the understanding that it's not so much me writing as he's writing through me. I'm just had to basically learn how to be the vessel that would allow him to speak through me and to write through me and do all of the things that he does through me. That took a lot of preparation time because I'm going to be honest, I am stubborn. And it takes me a little longer than some people because I will fight against things and probably make things harder than it needs to be. But it's also that same stubbornness that makes me buckle down, dig my heels in, and I will never give up God for nothing and no one. And that wouldn't have happened without all that healing and without that stubbornness that God gave me to know that I won't. And it's the same with people. I won't give up on people. I cannot, I will not. It would literally destroy my soul to not live in my purpose work of helping people.
Hmm. It's
So
crazy you say that, that purpose work and how the Lord will again use time to prepare us for that. And he will, if he can trust you with little, he can trust you with much. And we do need these slower beginnings, so to speak, in our purpose to make sure our foundation is in proper place. Like, hey, I have a firm foundation with him. Like I'm quote unquote right with him in all these areas, and I'm in this for the right reasons. My priorities are aligned, my heart is aligned, my heart posture, all these things. And so it really is revealed to us in layers and over time. And some people it can be super radical, like those levels can go really quickly. Some people it's more gradual, more stretched out. Doesn't mean that either purpose is greater or less than. It's just the way that God is moving in that scenario. So, say you're in a place where someone that has just taken off in their purpose, and it just makes you feel like, why not me yet? Like, I know the Lord's promised me this stuff. Like, why am I not there yet? And I think that it's important for us to remember that that doesn't mean that their purpose is any greater than yours. It's just the way that he's moving and working through you that happens to be a little bit more gradual. And he's still going to do amazing, incredible things through you. And so it just makes me think of a prophetic word that I had received a couple years ago where the woman that I was talking to, who we're actually great friends now, but did not know her at the time, she drew a picture of this worm on a hook. And she's like, this is what I'm seeing right now, this worm on this hook. And I see that right now you're casting this bait out, and it's one by one. It's one by one. It's one by one. And I'm pretty sure what it's involved with, as far as ministering to people, pouring into people, coaching, just, being the light of Christ to his children. And she's giving me this visual of a one by one. And she's like, but soon you're going to be throwing nets out, and it's going to be to the masses. And so the Lord is just so kind to us, so gracious to us, so good to us, to even allow us to see and be a part of his plan in that way. But I just thought that was a powerful illustration to show that slow beginnings are not a bad thing. And it's just a preparation season. It's just a training season for you. And his timing is so perfect, so pristine. He has so much he's teaching you right now in this season of those slow beginnings. And, what's ahead. You know that he has this big, victorious, glorious plan ahead for his kingdom. And you're a part of it. And so that's what's so cool. But yeah, I don't even know where that came from. I just wanted to throw that out there, that was a cool story that kind of aligns with timing, because I'd received that 2 years ago. So yeah. And I feel like I can somewhat still be in that throwing my line out, throwing my line out
not for
season.
long. Not for
Yeah.
long. But it also reminds me too, and part of that, you know, people that seem like they're going really fast also know that they may not be in God's timing either. They may have rushed ahead because, there's more than just God's money. There's the world's money. So we have to be very mindful that sometimes what we think we're seeing may not actually be what we're seeing. And that when it's our time, if we want it to be easy and light, then we need to yoke ourselves with God. If we try to do it on our own strength, it's going to be very heavy and consuming. And I'm having an epiphany right now. And it'll be hard, and it's not going to go the way that you think that it is. And that might be why you're not quite where you need to be, is because you're refusing to do the thing that God needs you to do right now that will yoke you with him, that will make your path easy and light and not so stressful and filled with anxiety, because he didn't call us to be stressed. He didn't call us to have anxiety. He didn't call us to be depressed. He called us to have abundance. He called us to prosper, to give us hope in a future. And Jesus is the way. And if we're not yoked with Jesus, then we're not going the right way. It's actually that simple. If we're not yoked with him, we're not going the right way, because he is literally the way. So timing is everything. It really is. But he also reminded me just last night that timing is still just a number. So just because, your kid is 15 and says something really profound, it can't be right. That's a lie. Just because you're in your 70s or 80s and you think your time is up, still a lie. Time is just a number. Age is just a number. God's going to do what he's going to do when he's going to do it. And the more powerful it is, the longer the pullback. So I guess is it, I'm trying to think of the thing that David used, the slingshot.
Slingshot, yeah.
Yep. The further he's about to throw you, the further he has to pull you back. So hold on. If you feel like you've been waiting a while, this is the season of breakthrough. This is the season of letting go. And you're going to end up somewhere and you're going to be like, oh, how did I get over here so far, so fast? Whoa, what a rush. So just hold on, because some things are shifting fast in a furious way.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, just stay planted. Just stay planted and abiding with him, you know, firm on that foundation of his rock, his truth, and that intimacy with him. Because you're going to see it in a big way. Like when we stay close to him and intertwined with him, and our hearts are aligned with his heart, our will is aligned with his will, you're going to know immediately, like when things have shifted, when things are changing, when, the season's about to turn, and because he's been preparing you for it and you're ready. And it just reminds me of the story in scripture of the women with their lamps and the oil. And he tells us to be ready, be ready, be ready. Make sure you have your oil. Make sure you have, your lamps lit for the return. And so just being vigilant and fervent in our prayers and just aligned with him, we're not going to be caught off guard. And I think that's just the most important thing about abiding is we're here with him. We see, even though we don't see the whole picture, and we don't see it in our reality yet, in our hearts, we already know what's about to take place because he's been preparing us for it. So, yeah, that's just
I
kind
just
of
remember something. There's a couple things. First of all, when you mentioned the foundation, and I love that verse, but I heard God saying, you can't move the foundation, but I can move the foundation. And it reminded me of something he said in my journal, probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, that when we yoke ourselves with him, he's like, I moved you to this high mountain and you didn't even notice the climb. Because when you yoke yourself with him, it's easy and light, and he can move the entire foundation of your house. Just move it. Bloop, I'm going to put it over there. So now you went from A to Z in like 2 days and you're like, what just happened? That's the kind of God I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the God that has to follow the alphabet. Okay, we're going to go to A and now we're at B. No, he's like, I'm going to go to B to Z. And then after Z, we're going to go to 25. And after 25, we're going to go, to Africa. And then after Africa, we're coming back to C. Like he can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
If you want to see profound miracles in your life, yoke yourself with him. And you will be in awe at what he will do in your life, because he's a miracle working God who's
Hmm.
working miracles. And if you're not seeing them, then you're not seeing him.
That's a mic drop statement. I love that. I love it. I think that's where we should finish.
Right?
Those are really good. Yoke yourself with him.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you guys had a lot of takeaways from this episode. I know that I did. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and we look forward to having you on next week.